What's up, guys? First video of the year. I know you guys are waiting for the draft review video. I promised I'd get it to you guys before the season starts, so finally was able to pencil in some time to review the draft. Make some picks and get things assembled for this. I mean, obviously the video is going to be probably 15, 20 minutes, but I usually have to spend probably like an hour putting together stuff and going through everything and evaluating, because I love it and I think some of you guys enjoy it. So I'll bring it to you. I'll do my best to, give you guys a video every week, like I've done in previous years. Just sometimes it's difficult to fit in with the schedule, working essentially two jobs, as you guys know. So I'm going to jump into the video. You guys have already seen the power rankings for the season and had some discussion on that. It's definitely reflected here, at least with the number one team a little bit. So let's jump into it. So we'll start in round one and just work our way through. So the best pick in round one, I gave to Dakota. His pick of CeeDee Lamb at 1.6 in round one. Obviously, he finally signed his contract, so he will obviously be there. I think he has potential to be the best receiver in the league this year, especially for fantasy. As honestly, I'm a Cowboys fan, and we don't really have many options on offense, in my opinion. Elliott, Dowdle, Ferguson, Cooks. Just not really sure that's going to get it done. So as long as he's healthy, he should get peppered with, a lot of targets. I wouldn't doubt if he gets like 170 plus this year. So we'll see how that goes. But thought Lamb should have been picked a little higher. Obviously, I can't remember if when we drafted, I don't think he was under contract when we drafted, so I probably had to do a little bit with him dropping a little bit. But obviously, it's a risk he took, and I think it's going to pay off. The worst pick in the first round. Now, you guys got to keep in mind the first few rounds, it's very difficult to get a best and worst pick because a lot of stuff just kind of stays standard based on average draft position and rank in the standard rankings. Things get a little easier as you move further in the draft as players drop and people pick people they, in my opinion, shouldn't pick. But the worst pick in the first round I gave to Michael. His pick of Bijan Robinson at 1.2. Obviously Bijan's great. Reason being I made that is I believe Breece Hall is a better option than Bijan. Simply because I think there's less options in New York. I don't think he has a solid backup like Bijan has. Tyler Algier is going to get some playing time. He's going to probably see 6 to 8, maybe even 10 touches a game. That's going to take away from Bijan some. He also has Drake London and Kyle Pitts on his team, where Breece Hall mainly just has Garrett Wilson to compete with. And, given the fact that the Jets have a very good defense, they should always be in competitive games so they can continue to run the ball. I think Aaron Rodgers, given his age, and obviously I don't think the offensive line is great in New York, he may be more prone to dumping the ball off to Breece Hall, which could obviously help him get points. So I think if Michael wanted to go running back there, I think Breece Hall should have been the option. Moving on to the second round, I have the best pick in the second round to myself with Marvin Harrison Jr. At pick 2.9. I think Harrison should have been like a high second round pick, so getting him near the end of the second round I think was a good value. Obviously, he's a rookie. I get that, but I think he's probably one of the most NFL-ready rookie wide receivers we've had in quite some time. As long as Kyler Murray is healthy, he should be amazing. I mean, I'm probably a little biased. I loved his dad when he played. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and I'm definitely happy to have him on a team this year. The worst pick in the second round goes to Garrett. He picked Joe Mixon at the very end of the second round. I think Joe Mixon will be decent this year. He's obviously on the new team with the Texans. They're going to score a lot of points. but there is a lot of mouths to feed on that team between Diggs, Dell, um, Collins, Schultz. He even has Damian Pierce behind him, although he kind of sucked last year. I like Mixon. I just think it was a little early to take Mixon. I think Mixon's more of a fourth round pick. Now, granted, you got to also consider where Garrett's drafting. If he doesn't take him on the turn, being at the very end of round 2, very beginning of round 3, probably not getting him at the end of round 4, but still a little bit of a reach there, in my opinion. Moving to round 3, had the best pick in round 3 going to Dakota. His pick of Devontae Adams at 3.6. I think Devontae Adams should be a second round pick. I understand he's a little older. I understand he is not in the best situation with the Raiders. Doesn't have a great quarterback. I think to his benefit, they decided to name Minshew the starter over O'Connell, which I think is a plus. But Adams is still amazing. He's a solid player. I think that's a good value there in the middle of the third round. The worst pick in the third round I gave to Jason with his pick of Kenneth Walker at 3.3. I think Walker's more of like a late fourth round pick, early fifth round pick. He obviously has dealt with a good bit of injuries. He does have a solid backup in Zach Charbonnet. And then there's obviously a good bit of receivers there with Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith and Jigba. I know they have some new coaching staffs this year, so I'm not really sure how that's going to play into things there. I just think it was a little early to take Ken Walker there. Moving on to round 4, I had the best pick in round 4 going to Dakota with his pick of Deebo Samuel at 4.7. I think Deebo should have been a late second, early third round pick. We're in the middle of fourth, and you're snagging Deebo. Obviously, Deebo is a little injury prone, but he's a beast, man. That dude plays so hard. I'm sure he'll miss a couple games this year. They do still have Ayuk. They brought him back. They signed Trent Williams today. They got George Kittle. They got McCaffrey. They're going to score points. They have a lot of talent on that team. If something happens to McCaffrey, you better believe Debo's going to get 3 or 4 carries a game, which is a big benefit there. So I think a very good pick there. The worst pick in round 4 I gave to Mark at pick 4.8. He took Zamir White. I think it's way too early for Zamir White in the 4th round. I think he's more of a 7th round pick. Obviously, the Raiders aren't going to be very good. I don't really think he has a lot of competition there. I'm pretty sure Madison is his backup this season, and he's blah. But I just don't see the Raiders putting up a ton of points. I think they might have to play from behind as well, which is not going to benefit him a ton. They may still have Amir Abdullah as well. I'm not sure on that. But I think it was definitely too early for Zamir White there. In round number 5, I have the best pick in round 5 going to Dalton. His pick of Amari Cooper at the very end of round 5. Cooper's not really an exciting player, but he does get the job done. He's the number 1 option in Cleveland. Cleveland should be a decent team this season. Obviously, they need Watson to stay healthy to do anything. But I think Amari Cooper should have been more of like a middle of the 4th round type of receiver. So getting him at the end of the 5th is good value. The worst pick in the 5th round I give to Mark. His pick of Calvin Ridley at 5.5. I think Ridley's more of like a late 6th round pick. I do think he could be very good this year. Obviously, a lot of people anticipate Will Levis stepping up. Obviously, they have a new coach there as well. So we'll see how that goes. Ridley kind of had an up and down season last year in Jacksonville. It's his 3rd team that he's on. So we'll see if he can put it together. If he can, it could be a great pick. But I just think you probably could have drafted him with your next pick in the next round potentially. In round 6, I gave the best pick to DJ with his pick at 6.2 of James Conner. I think James Conner, that's probably where he should be picked, right in that range, maybe, late 5th, early 6th round. So I don't really think he snagged him like at a position maybe he shouldn't have. But I do like Connor. Connor was very good last year um, when Kyler Murray was available. So that's going to be how the season starts this time. Obviously, he has a solid backup this time with Trey Benson, the rookie they drafted. I do think the Cardinals are going to be a solid team, and as long as Connor can stay healthy, and obviously you need Murray to stay healthy as well, I think he could be a very good pick there. The worst pick in round 6 I gave to Dakota. His pick at 6.7 was Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks getting a lot of hype. They think he might be the best running back to come out of the draft this year, but he's hurt. He's going to be out for at least the first 4 weeks. And he's on the Panthers, who probably aren't going to be that great of a team. They should obviously improve on last season, but I still think they're going to be, at best 5, maybe 6 wins if they can get there. I also think, I have Jonathan Brooks as like a 9th round pick. I mean, I'm in a league with some of you guys that we drafted last night. I got Jonathan Brooks in the 10th round, so to pick him 4 rounds before that is a little crazy to me. In round 7, I have the best pick going to Dakota at 6.6. He took Anthony Richardson. I think that's probably a couple rounds later than you typically see Richardson go. I am not a huge Richardson fan. Obviously, I don't think he can throw that well. But for fantasy purposes, he's going to run the ball, and if he stays healthy, he should probably walk into a top 5 QB just based off his rushing ability alone. I mean, he could easily get 50 to 100 yards rushing every game and close to a touchdown. And then when he throws in 200 yards passing, and if he doesn't throw a fuck ton of interceptions, he could have very good value there. Worst pick in round 7, I gave to Derek. His pick of Ladd McConkey at 7.7. I think McConkey's more of like a 9th round pick. He's not going to be the number 1 on that team. The team's probably not going to pass the ball that much. And honestly, Ladd McConkey he wasn't like an amazing receiver in college. Obviously, he played on a great team, but statistically, he didn't kill it. He's definitely going to be behind Josh Palmer, in my opinion, and Herbert's dealing with an injury. He's probably going to play through the year with the plantar fasciitis. So see how that goes, but definitely a little early to pick McConkey. I mean, obviously, I know Derek's a little biased. He's a Georgia fan, but you got to put those feelings to the side when drafting your team. In round 8, I have the best pick going to Dalton, who took Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray should have been like a late 5th, early 6th round pick. I do like Kyler Murray. Obviously, he has the rushing ability, which is, just extra points, for a quarterback there. So I like his potential there. Obviously, he's going to have Connor and, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison to throw to once, Zay Jones gets done with his suspension. We'll have Zay Jones, who we didn't have last year. And, Michael Wilson should, be coming more into his own in his second season. So I think a good pick there. Worst pick in round 8, I gave to Mark with his pick of Ezekiel Elliott. And just too early for Zeke. You could have got him in a double-digit rounds. Nobody's excited for Zeke. He's kind of old and fat now. I mean, he is going to fall in the end zone a handful of times this year, just based on the team he's on and his, ability. But it's just not going to be exciting. It's just not a great pick there when there's a lot better quality players on the board. In round 9, I have the best pick going to Mark, who took Tony Pollard at 9.5. I think Pollard should have been more of like a 7th round pick. I do understand he's going to be competing with Tajay Spears for touches, but I think that Pollard is the better running back. And if the Titans offense performs better than it has in the past, that could be good. And we also know that, when Pollard was the main guy in Dallas last year, he didn't necessarily perform that great. But, prior to that, when he was splitting time with Elliott, that's when he shined the most, on a more limited playing time ability. So, maybe this could be the best situation for him. I think it's good value there in round 9. The worst pick in round 9 I gave to Michael, who took Austin Eckler at pick 9.2. I'm probably a little biased because I drafted Eckler last year and he just destroyed my team. He's going to be playing behind Brian Robinson, who I'm high on. They also have Jaden McDaniels playing quarterback, who is going to be running probably quite a bit. And, in my opinion, typically running quarterbacks don't dump the ball off very often, which is obviously Eckler's specialty. And Brian Robinson is also a very underrated pass catcher, so I'm not sure, if they're going to take him off the field and split time when it's passing down or how that's going to work. But I think Eckler should have been more of like a 10th round pick instead of getting drafted there in the 9th. In round 10, I had the best pick going to Dakota, who took Nick Chubb at 10.7. Now, I think that's probably where Nick Chubb should be drafted, given his injury. We really have no clue when he's going to come back. I mean, I've heard he could come back in 4 weeks. I've heard it may be middle of the season. I've heard it might be Thanksgiving when he comes back. I mean, we all know how gruesome his injury was last year. He basically tore everything in his knee. I know he appears pretty healthy currently, but just from a regular standpoint. But there's obviously a big difference, when you talk about football shape and football ability. I saw a video of him squatting 600 pounds, which is pretty impressive. But he's still got to cut, to be able to take hits, start and stop, all that football activity. But I'm a big Nick Chubb fan. If he comes back and he's healthy, you could just win in my opinion, you can win the league with that kind of pick late in the draft. So at that point, I think it's worth the shot. You're late in the draft, the double-digit rounds. Drafting safe isn't gonna win. You draft, high risk, high reward. Because if the guys don't pan out and you need to cut them, you could easily cut them. It means nothing. So I think it's a good pick there. Worst pick in round 10 goes to Josh. His pick of Darnell Mooney at 10.4. Mooney is like a last round pick, or he's a free agent. Like drafting him in round 10 is nuts to me. He's on a new team. Obviously, the team should be good, but he's going to be behind Pitts. He's going to be behind London. He's going to be beyond Bijan. He's probably going to be, behind Algier. So just I don't see a lot of value there taking him. In round 11, I have the best pick going to Kenny, who drafted Tyler Lockett. As much as people want to put JSN over Tyler Lockett, it hasn't happened yet. We'll see how the season goes, but he's still the number 2 on that team, and he's still a pretty productive player. I think Lockett should have been probably drafted in the 10th round. So good value there. Worst pick in round 11 goes to Garrett, who drafted Xavier Legette in that round. And also the 3 of you who drafted kickers in round 11, which is DJ, Michael, and Derek. Worst picks as well. Obviously, you guys took good kickers, but not a lot of value there. You don't draft a kicker till another couple rounds. Typically, you try to wait till the last 2, but at least maybe the second round 13. But drafting him in 11th round is nuts. As far as Xavier Legette goes, a rookie, can't speak English. Not sure why that matters, but I'm not sure what language he speaks. He's going to be the 3rd receiver on a team that's not supposed to be very good, probably not going to score a ton of points. He's playing behind Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen. They're obviously going to run the ball with Brooks when he's healthy, Hubbard, Miles Sanders. Bryce Young should take a step forward this year, but I don't see it. I don't think Legette should have been a drafted player. In round 12, I have the best pick going to Derek, who drafted Chuba Hubbard in the middle of the 12th. He's going to start the season as a starting running back for the Panthers. Getting a starting running back in the 12th round is great value, no matter how you look at it. If Jonathan Brooks, either comes in and doesn't perform the way a lot of people believe he's going to perform, or for whatever reason just can't get healthy. Hubbard's got that job. He's above Miles Sanders, so good value there. Worst pick in round 12, I gave to Ray. He drafted Jalen Wright at 12.5. I just feel like anytime you're drafting the third running back on a team, just is not very smart in my opinion. Obviously, they say he's a talented guy, and he's playing behind two guys who do have an injury history with Mostert and Achane. And the Dolphins are a pretty prolific offense who can put up a lot of points. So if something happens to one of those guys, he does have an opportunity. But I mean, to me, that's waiver wire material. Like, my guess is he'll probably get cut at some point from Ray's team. In round 13, I had the best pick going to Dalton, who drafted Josh Palmer at the very end of that round. I was trying to get him late. I was hoping he wouldn't. I opted to take a kicker in that round. I mean, I'm happy with the kicker, but would have liked to have Josh Palmer because he's going to, in my opinion, he's the number one option there in LA with the Chargers. So I like the value there. I did not, I couldn't really, decipher a worse pick in round 13, so I don't have anything there. And then there's no point in me really evaluating rounds 14 and 15 when majority of those picks are defenses and kickers. And as much as we all like to think we know who's going to be good, it almost never pans out that way. It's a gamble and a crapshoot, and that's why those picks should stay typically those last couple rounds there. So I have nothing there, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a little longer than I wanted. But obviously we got the season starting in a couple days, and I'm sure you guys are all excited. This year we have the game on Friday as well. So we're gonna have 4 days of NFL the first week, between Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. So it should be exciting. Wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll see you guys next time.